Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Avero Advisors live stream. We are super excited to be here because today we are talking about 2025 GovTech trends. This is our opportunity to share what we're hearing in the market and what we're seeing so that you can better serve your citizens and run your organizations more efficiently. Before we get started, I did want to make note of our 2025 report. There's a QR code to my right. Make sure that you scan that and download our latest and greatest report on all things digital transformation in the public sector. Today, I do have Clay Brooks with me and our founder and CEO, Mr. Abhijit Varakar. So, hey guys, thanks for joining me
Morning.
today. I'm very excited about this topic.
Yeah, so am I. I mean, I'm a futurist, I think, and looking into 2025 is kind of surreal because we just got into 2024.
Hmm.
Um, so it's already here. We're getting into Thanksgiving mode slowly, and then we're gonna be in Christmas mode. I'm just thankful that it's not freezing cold here in Knoxville just yet, but exciting things to talk about today because yeah, we're going to talk about some high level new and coming things like AI, obviously, but it all has implications on the sort of day to day tech that people are going to
Hmm.
use. And it's a great time for people to start thinking about their technology strategies for their IT strategic planning, AI strategic planning, honestly, because uh, all of this is going to impact your work life starting today, if not early 2025. So excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Clay, do you have any opening remarks in terms of our topics today? Do you want to talk a little bit about how you've been involved specifically in our AI offerings?
Oh, yeah. I have been so deep in it lately, doing a lot of research, um, learning a lot of new vocabulary words and seeing equations in these papers that I don't even understand at first glance. There's so much technology that I feel like we're not talking about enough that we're going to need to understand as consultants for IT in the public sector really soon. So I'm really excited to share some of that knowledge, whether it's about AI or the Internet of Things. Let's get started. Let's nerd out.
Yeah, let's dive in. Let's dive in. For those of you who are joining us today, if you will drop a comment in the chat box and let us know what you think you will be seeing in 2025 as an emerging technology. We want to know your thoughts. We want to know what you think is going to be trending for 2025. So if you are joining us, make sure you type us a note in the chat box and please ask any question you want to know. We're all about giving free advice. We love it when you guys communicate with us. It keeps our conversation flowing. So, without further ado, let's dive into it. So, the biggest trend I think right now, and the biggest buzzword, right, is AI and how it can be used in the public sector, right? So, my first question to you all is, where's the biggest potential to insert AI? There's chatbots, there's AI that's used for reporting. So what's the biggest potential specifically in the public sector for AI in
So
2025?
let me start with my layman's
Okay.
explanations before Clay starts nerding out on this. Um, you know, I heard this uh, phrase yesterday. AI is not a tool, or it will not be a tool. It's going to be like electricity. It's going to be like the internet, ubiquitous. Things don't run without it or as well, right? I mean, think about going somewhere without uh, Wi-Fi, forget electricity. You expect the lights to turn on when you switch the flip the switch,
Yeah.
and and that's what it's going to be like. Uh, Everything is going to be woven with AI. And what is the application? I mean, today we're seeing small applications like chatbots, and you're seeing AI enabled uh, customer service over the phone or on chat. You're seeing AI products that read your board meetings and commission meetings and council meetings and report back and provide an interface to the data. That's just a starting point of where this is going. And as we're redesigning our technologies, as we're redesigning our um, ERP systems, a big portion of what we are bringing to the table now is requirements around AI. And how does that look going forward? Because you're in this sort of a gap area where you have traditional software systems that have AI capabilities that are not fully rolled out. And yet, when a client is making a huge investment, a $20 million investment in your product, it's a good time to ask those questions. If you're in the process of selecting a new ERP, what new products are going to make our lives better
Mhm.
through AI? And again, you can't think of it as AI, it's just how is your product going to evolve, or has it evolved to take advantage of the powerful feature sets made available by AI? That's where I think AI. We need to start thinking about what questions to ask and how do you strategize, because
Mhm.
otherwise you're just sitting back and watching as it unfolds. As a consumer, you need to get ahead of it slightly by learning, understanding, and talking to people that sort of nerd out over this and have studied this phenomena over the last 2 years, if not more.
Yeah, no, I agree. And
Absolutely.
we do have a comment in the comment box. You know, Kyler says, I think 2025 is the year of AI failures, the rush to implementation without a strategic plan on what are we going to do with this. And I think that's a great point, right? Because we see this with, take AI out of it. We see it with software implementations. We see it with any technology. There's a rush to let's just get it in and we'll figure out
Hmm.
the rest later. So what are your all's thoughts around Kyler's comment? And I'll display it here for us as well.
I think Clay's got a term for it. Stealth AI. What
Hello?
did you call it?
Shadow AI. Got
Shadow
that
AI.
from a
Yeah,
Gov
tell us
AI
about Shadow
coalition
AI.
meeting.
Yeah.
Um, Shadow AI is AI that you do not pick out. It's AI you don't necessarily even buy or base a purchasing decision on. It is some kind of artificial intelligence feature that the vendor or software developer has just kind of added into their product to try to keep up with what they think are the trends,
Hmm.
right? And this is coming, it's already here. I was going to say 2025, if 2025 is the year of AI, like where have we been the past 5 years? Because AI has been
Mhm.
around, it's just been quieter about it. And now with the rise of things like large language models and natural language processing, like ChatGPT and all these chatbots that are showing up, that's where we start, like as normal people, making the connection, like, oh, this computer can kind of, it seems like I'm a caveat that it seems like it is thinking like a person does. It seems intelligent, but intelligent systems have been going on behind the scenes for a really long time. But when we start getting into stuff like these chatbots that are popping up everywhere left and right, any system has a customer service chatbot that it's advertising right now. There's a lot of risks involved. Calling back to what Kyler was saying, in the implementation of these systems, when we don't understand exactly how they work as
Hmm.
the user or the company or the organization that is trying to implement it into our workflows. And I think that Kyler's right about the year of AI failures. If you are not ready, then some things will go awry for sure. So it's important to understand how ready your organization is and what you need to do to prepare for the rise of this shadow AI that you're talking about, that is just going to happen whether you like it or not. It's going to become ubiquitous.
Yeah,
So
and
what?
I think
Oh,
I'm
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry,
Sorry.
Megan, but just to
Nerd
tag
time.
on to that point. Sorry, am I interrupting you?
It's
We like
okay.
to talk over each other all the time.
This is
We're
the
excited.
downside of being virtual.
It is.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know what I was going to say. Yeah. So ask your question.
Sorry. Okay. Well, you guys keep talking about being ready, right?
Yeah.
And preparing your organization. But what does that mean? How do you know when you're ready for AI? What
Okay.
does that mean?
I I think so. First of all, as a consumer, you don't buy a thing called AI. Like you
Right.
can't walk into Walmart and say, "Give me one AI." How much for an AI? Right? You have to go at it from one of two ways. One, you're getting pitched a demo for a product that happens to magically solve your one of the many problems you are trying to solve, right? For example, a product that creates an interface between your board reports and commission council packets and the public. It sits on your website, and the public can talk to it and say, okay, when did you guys pass this ordinance saying, I can't smoke outside my restaurant? Or, instead of having to go through hundreds and millions of documents, um, or who was a certain contract awarded to, or how much did you guys spend on that, coming from legislative documentation, uh, is one way where that example is of you don't know what problem you have and the vendor came and showed you, hey, we have this cool tool, you want to buy it. The second way of doing it is thinking about a problem, coming up with a use case, and working with an AI developer at this point, because you don't have, there is a marketplace, right? But it's disparate. There is no app store. There is one kind of on ChatGPT's website, on Claude and whatnot. But the magic is in customizing these Lego blocks to your use cases. So that's the second way of doing it. Thinking about how you can solve a problem using AI. And there's several different flavors of that we're seeing, right? Clay, when you're sitting in these meetings, you're seeing both sides. You're seeing vendors come present things they think might be valuable to governments, and then you have governments saying, I have this problem. I wonder if AI can help me solve this.
Yeah.
Now, if you are in the second camp saying you're really thinking about a problem and you want AI to solve this for you, again, you can't just go buy the thing, right? You'll have to start talking to a developer, a software provider, what have you, that may or may not have a ready solution for you. Even if they do, the next logical step to take is to see, A, do you even have the data, the policies, the structure, the
Yup.
underlying infrastructure to provide the AI the information it will need to solve your problem, right?
Uh,
So it's the same old problem again. You can go buy a giant, massive, sexy, good looking dashboarding and reporting tool, but you don't have the underlying data sets that can feed it. What
yeah.
are you going to see?
Those graphs are going to be empty and
Mm-hmm.
tiny and useless.
Yep.
So if you are one of those, like, I see exactly what you mean with the vendors being like, we have this cool tool that can solve this problem, and the other people on the other side of the room that are like, but that's not our problem, we have a different problem.
Mm-hmm.
So don't, I mean, that's one thing I would say is don't let the salespeople talk you into thinking that you have a problem when that's not your actual biggest priority. That's part of the readiness. Do you actually know what your problem is? Do you know what you're looking for a solution to? Do you know what your priorities are and your values are as an organization when it comes to implementing this sort of thing? Is your data ready? That's another part of readiness, like you were going into. Are your dashboards going to be blank? Because
Mm-hmm.
all of your reports are in
Yeah.
Excel on people's personal computers rather than in some kind of database that Azure AI report writer can actually access and read. So there's a lot of steps that you have to take sometimes to get towards that solution you're looking for. And if we don't want 2025 to be the year of failed AI implementations, then we have to think about that right now in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you guys bring up a good point about data, right? If you if your data is not in order, AI is not going to help you at all, because that's what AI does, right? As a bot, it reads data and it gives you information on that data, based on certain things that you want it to tell you. So I know, AV, you've talked to a procurement group about uses of AI and how it
Hmm.
can assist them with reading contracts, crafting RFPs. Can you speak a little bit to that? And because I see the biggest use, and maybe it's just because I deal with RFPs a lot,
Hmm.
I see the biggest use being in those document heavy departments.
Yeah, I mean, any function that inherently produces a lot of paper, a
Hmm.
lot of words, a lot of documentation can use AI today, right? You can have ChatGPT, the free version, tell you if a certain contract meets the state's code or if it violates anything. All of that is possible today. And as you go forward, you're going to start seeing products that help a purchasing agent's um, workload, right?
Hmm.
Things like creating RFPs, creating scopes of work. And I think we're starting to see that, right? As we respond to RFPs, sometimes you look at a scope of work and you think, this looks like AI wrote this piece
Yep.
or this scope of work, right? There's like not enough detail and it's yet very academic. Anyway, uh, those are the cool, quick, low hanging fruit kind of applications you can have today. I think
Well,
where it will go for purchasing, especially, is the automation of that whole process, right?
right,
From conceptualization to getting the scope of work together, requirements definition for anything, and where purchasing agents had to rely on the subject matter experts who, by the way, or the department heads that may not actually understand what they're trying to buy, and having these people buy it for them. That knowledge gap uh, goes down significantly. I mean, you see it in our personal lives, right? I don't use Google anymore to
right.
research products. I'm going to go on
Perplexity.
Perplexity or I'm
Yeah.
going to go on ChatGPT and ask it to search forums and ask it to search review sites and just tell me what's going on. Of course, it's fraught with risk because of hallucinations. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
lots of applications.
On the flip side, playing devil's advocate here, what would you
Let's go.
say to our procurement friends that are getting responses from vendors that are created by AI? Like, how are you going to distinguish who's the best fit because a robot wrote the response? That's something I think about all the time. Like, are you just going to do in-person interviews? Like, how are you? I think this is going to become a real problem.
Yes. I mean, it's already there, right? You're flooded with AI generated content
Hmm.
on the internet. And proposals are not different. Again, anything that can generate that requires a lot of text, and we do it, right? We don't completely generate AI enabled proposals, but there's pieces of proposals we have gotten smarter about how we use our tools and
Right.
workforce to respond to paper heavy stuff. So it's the way of the future. I don't think there's fighting it. Now, to your second question on how do you catch it? Now, is it a bad thing? It could be bad if what the AI came up with is not something that your company is actually good at.
Doing. Yeah.
You don't actually have the goods, but you now came up with great words that make me, the buyer, think that, whoa, these guys are really cool. Um, then that's why you have to rely on like social proof, reference calls that are, again, real with a real person, um, in-person interviews. I can't stress this enough. You're gonna go into this phase of deep fakes and uh, AI enabled avatars. Right now, it's in the phase where you can only like record stuff, as far as I know, but you could be talking to the AI avatar of AV in a live setting, like Reid Hoffman did on his LinkedIn a few months ago. Right, he was talking to his older self that was programmed into an AI and was a live conversation. So if you're doing vendor selections for critical things like a $20 million ERP implementation. Get people to fly to you and see them in person instead of doing virtual Zoom calls, because otherwise, it's not heading in a good direction from that standpoint.
Yeah,
If
I
you
agree.
wanted to take it in a bad direction, like if you're playing devil's advocate, then I don't know what I'm playing. But you just get an AI to read the AI generated procurement documents, right? And that's totally going to be accurate and help you make great decisions. Basically, you could just let the AI make that decision for you, right? There's so many applications, and I'm obviously kidding, but if you do actually implement it the wrong way, there's the chance of drift happening where it's predictions and decisions, because we got to remember AI makes predictions and decisions that simulate how a human thinks. They're going to get less accurate over time the more you layer these things on top of each other. So I'm right with you, AV. Have people fly out. And from the other side, if you're writing a proposal or if you're writing an RFP with AI, because that has, let's not pretend that doesn't happen.
Right.
Whose responsibility is it to make sure that that document is accurate and representative of you guys, of what you're trying to say? Is it the vendor? Is it OpenAI? Or is it the person whose responsibility it is to upload it to your procurement site? That's
Well,
a
I
big
think
question that I've been hearing.
I agree with what you both are saying. I think that's why it's so important for the governance, right? And for their laws to ensure, and their processes to ensure that, some of these things don't get out of hand, right? So you've got to start with that. How are we going to use it? How is it going to be governed? What are the risks involved, right? And how do we protect ourselves from this?
Mhm.
I do want to move on from AI, but before we do, could we give our viewers a few tips and tricks on how to prepare their organizations, or, what are their trainings? What are some of the conversation starters to really start honing in on how to use AI within their organizations?
I mean, start
I have
start
some
small.
thoughts.
You don't
Hmm.
have to
Mhm.
have massive trainings. Your people are using AI, right?
Hmm.
Everyone's using it. Um, it's again not different than watching for phishing attacks or watching for social engineering and fraud, because there are a few major players, and then there are uh, providers that use the major players with their own stickers on to that may not be the most safe use of AI. So uh, pick one, right? In our organization, we have chosen to use OpenAI stack for ChatGPT and other applications. Pick one, promote the use, tell them how to use it. There's tons of information online and training programs for the very basic use. It's like it's ubiquitous, and I'm an early adopter, so maybe um, I'm not understanding the severity of the training issue, because it should be like Google. It's a chatbot. Go talk to it. Don't be afraid. The the problem comes with how do you ask nuanced um, and have the prompts, because you have to get it to do things for you, right? At the end of the day, it is a computer, and you have to program it to tell you what you want, what you want done for you. So just start using it. The training will happen. The GPT itself can train you.
My
What do you think,
thoughts?
Clay?
Yes.
Okay. Don't just start using it, please. No. It's the thing that's been stuck in my mind is I agree with you that people are already using it. Your staff are already using it. It's already happening. And I think the worst thing that we could do right now is try to stop it and to say, don't do it. That is not allowed. If you use it and get caught using it, then there will be consequences, because then people will hide it. And we don't want that, especially in the public sector space. What we need is openness and honesty about it, so that we can make sure it is being used properly and it is being used in accordance with your policies. And if you don't have policies, I think that that is a great place to start.
Yes, that is good advice. And I will just say, if you don't feel comfortable diving right in for your day job, use it to draft your fantasy football teams. I do that. I'm in a fantasy league this year, and to be honest with you, at the end of my draft, I was predicted last, and now I'm beating everyone. But AI did that, so it was just easier for AI to do the research than me spending my time and wheels on it. So anyway, just a sidebar.
Is that cheating?
Football, it's great for fantasy football.
I used it for
Even
horse betting and I lost my shirt. So
yeah. Even with the waiver wires and all the things. So to all my fantasy footballers out there. Okay, let's move on to data sharing and integration. And my first question I'm going to pose to you all is, what does that mean? And why are organizations currently not sharing data internally or externally?
well, I think that's a very broad statement. Like data sharing and integration is important for if you want to run a seamless organization, right?
Mhm.
And in the case of our clientele, government organizations, it's important because you can't have efficiencies if you're not taking advantage of what other departments and other functions have in terms of data and information. Secondly, it's very important if you think transparency to the public is important, right? So
Right.
sharing the data is important. Integration between systems is critical. And the more we work with agencies that have 20, 30-year-old like their ERP systems, it becomes apparent that they're collecting the same data, they're running the same kind of processes in 4 or 5 different systems.
Yeah.
Um, and there's a trend towards, integrating systems, which has always been there. But now we're talking about best of breed solutions that are not sort of siloed and they're not proprietary in terms of data formats. And there's a really good interchange of data between major systems and smaller systems that makes life a lot more easier and systems a lot more easier to use because you don't have to build specific interfaces between products.
Yeah, I love that perspective. When you look into the past, there were a lot of pieces of software that were built for specific purposes that are built on proprietary like code languages and database structures. And nowadays, that is so old hat.
Hmm.
I think 2025 is going to be a huge year for integration across different softwares, whether they're best of breed or you have a massive ERP system that's a modular implementation and everything talks to each other. I think it's all going to start to be in a format that's compatible across different platforms because people clearly are interested in the ability to integrate the scheduling software that their fire department uses to put people on shifts and their payroll in their main ERP system down at the county. And the ones that are going to rise to the top, the solutions that are going to rise to the top are the ones that are integrated with the other common solutions that people in this industry are using.
Are there specific data governance frameworks that you all recommend for organizations who may be struggling with integrating data between systems?
Not necessarily. I mean, there's several theoretical frameworks for how you set up your enterprise architecture.
Right.
But again, going forward, especially again with going back to AI, like I said, it's going to be like electricity. It won't matter, right? Because you can seamlessly translate languages, which is how it's going to work with governance structures. So each organization and agency needs to have their own version of governance in place, and that goes beyond just data. They need technology governance. They need, and that goes beyond just having an IT department.
Mhm.
That's like step number two of having a data governance. Step one is having a strategy for how you're going to use this IT department, right? So it really comes down to vision, how you want to accomplish this, what tools you have on your hand, and then you start peeling back the layers of the onion and say, we're going to deal with governance, we're going to deal with data governance. And it all comes back again to good strategy that will allow you to take advantage of all of these cool new things coming out.
Clay, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I would love to see a trend in 2025 where some of the politics get out of the way in the name of efficiency, just because it makes a better use of an organization's budget overall. If you're not entering the same data 5 times in 5 different systems, like you said, it's better overall for your citizens, your constituents, the people you serve. And I think that in 2025, we're going to see a trend towards, like Kyler said, these competencies that are going to be needed for some IT leadership to be able to look at the big picture and form an overall strategy and act on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for
I mean,
pulling
the
that
question
up. That's a
is,
great point.
what about the internal IT competencies needed to manage this modular or integrated system? Will those be sought after skill sets? Absolutely. I mean, we've been talking about this for years. I don't care how good you are at helping people reset their passwords or fix the printer, if you're not seeing the big picture on how your organization helps, how your department helps the organization achieve its goals, how your organization helps people be most productive and happy with their work and the outputs they're producing, you shouldn't be in IT leadership. You
Hmm.
cannot look at this just from a blinking lights, things are green, things are red, binary sort of way. IT leadership, and we did a great video on this, on the evolution of the IT department, of the CIO. You are a major part of the C suite. You're at the chief technology officer level, and your job is to look ahead for what's coming and how does that impact your organization. Not just today that the Wi-Fi is up or it's down.
Yeah.
Use your superior intellect and experience to ingest these tools within your organization and be forward thinking, forward looking.
Yeah. I like, Clay, I love your thought about politics. Like, how do we keep
Sure.
politics out of this planning? Because all I can think about, AV, is the prospect we were speaking with a few years ago, who, we tried to communicate via email, and literally the mayor said, I don't use email. You're going to have to call me. And this is a county that is significantly large. And if I said it on here, I'm not going to, you guys would be shocked, because it just doesn't make sense, with the tourists and tourism that they bring in for this state. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyway, without further ado, I don't know how you change what's been done for the past 40 plus years, especially when politics are involved. It's the old way or no way. And so I think you guys raised great points. I think it takes a visionary, and it
Mhm.
takes a hard conversation. And
It takes somebody making people feel heard,
right.
because there's a reason that things are still the way that they were.
Hmm.
And the people who are trying to keep them the way they were have reasons in their brains, but like nobody has offered to hear them out
Right.
and come up with a solution that works for everyone involved and still gets them what they need to run their department the way they need.
Hmm.
That's all I'll say on that.
Yes.
Look, we don't work with the federal government just yet, but it's timely, right? The Department of Government Efficiency. It's something to look forward to in 2025. Now, how do you go about making the federal government efficient? And we know there's inefficiencies there. Like, I mean, it may not be as much as Elon thinks. Who knows? Let's see what he finds out, right? Or Vivek. But is that going to have a cascading impact on our client base, right? And how do you go about
Right.
finding efficiencies? And like you said, Clay, the the politics and the way that things have been done for so long, and that's why that's how they are. I mean, you see this in play out in our clientele also, right? There was a chart I
Yeah.
saw somewhere that said there is no movement in making things modern or more efficient because people that are in those jobs for 20, 30 years, and not all of them. I mean, we know a lot of stellar professionals, but there's a tendency to say we're going to outlive the elected administration that has come in with this energy. So again, we'll have to see how this goes. um, you're talking about efficiency and taking politics out of politics, like someone said in the comments.
Yeah.
um, uh, a lot of the tool sets that we might see deployed quickly, if not the most efficiently, because you're trying to break things as you go fast, is you might see more use of AI, you might see better use of technology within uh, your federal agencies, and just like the ones we typically use, the passport office or immigration systems. uh, they don't have the best reputations being efficient. So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. I know what you
It,
mean,
this is a
but
rabbit
just something to
hole.
look forward to.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
This
You
is
take the politics out of politics, put the
yes.
governance back into the government.
Catch us next week for our live on how to keep the politics out of politics.
And
We
put the governance back in the
a
government.
whiteboarding session on how to do that. Yeah, no, this is a rabbit hole that I think we need to continue on a different live, but I like where this is going. But let's dive into our third trend because time is of the essence here. So the third thing that we're seeing for 2025 is the advanced connectivity with 5G and IoT. So number one, I think we're bringing back this idea of smart city and its connectivity, right? So,
Hmm.
what does that mean for 2025? How is IoT being integrated and with the connectivity of 5G? What makes it better?
So smart city was the last big buzzword before AI came along, and we've talked about how there was smart city. There still is smart city consulting, smart city assessments, and people found out that they're already smart. Like if you have automatic meter reading for your utilities, if you have uh, advanced traffic management systems, if you have any kinds of systems that connect to each other and read data and help make functions and processes better, you might already be smart, right? And IoT again is everywhere, especially now. Everything is Wi-Fi connected, right? My fridge is
Hmm.
Wi-Fi connected. Your stove is Wi-Fi connected. So it's those things that are kind of ubiquitous now. It comes down to connectivity. Back in 2020, when the pandemic first started, um, there was a huge push towards giving internet access to people that don't have internet access, because everyone worked from home, schools were closed, and we were expected to keep going. But what about those people that lived in areas that didn't have internet? That problem hasn't been solved, by the way, right? The feds have
Hmm.
released what, $88 billion, 46 billion to promote the growth of fiber optics and high-speed internet, and you run into an issue where the speed of construction cannot keep up with the demand. So we'll have to see again with advanced technologies like Starlink, if
Yes.
if it is allowed to um, uh, do its thing, if it can do the thing that it says it can do, is that a better way to provide internet and connectivity to the masses that don't have it? Because really, I mean, you look at East Tennessee here, we are pretty hilly and mountainous, and that's what we ran into. We had a project with our sister company, Avero Infrastructure, to do a case study on or feasibility study on running fiber across the county up to the tallest mountains in the Smokies, and it was going to cost a gajillion dollars. Not only that, you would take many years because of the terrain and the lack of electricity poles or whatnot. There were so many impediments to getting it done quickly that laying physical fiber across the country may not be quick enough. And I know there's several of our um, friends that are in the business. I'd love to hear your thoughts on where that stands today, because um, the problem still exists. The money was spent. I don't think we saw a lot of action on getting things done. But 25, I think wireless technologies, satellite technologies. I know Amazon's trying to do the same thing that SpaceX has done, or Blue Origin, whatever company is um, being promoted by Bezos. But anyway, that's the trend. I'm looking forward to actually seeing it roll out, and there's a lot of money being spent, and we're not seeing action. Hey,
You know what I'm thinking
Tyler.
about?
Yeah, you guys have mountains. Yeah, we have mountains. They're called the Smoky Mountains.
We do.
I don't think
We do have
yeah,
mountains.
we have mountains.
Anyway, something that I've been thinking about that's going to be enabled by this wireless technology that you're talking about, because now that we have the 5G connectivity and the Starlinks and all of that, we don't have to lay fiber lines all the way up the mountain to get internet on top of the mountain necessarily anymore. Like good internet that can support an Internet of Things, IoT. I've been really excited about digital twin simulation. I'm going to nerd out for just a second.
Please go. We want
Okay,
you to.
You said earlier you were a futurist, and I really resonated with that because I've been kind of a futurist for a long time. Actually, when I started going to college, and I studied anthropology, so I don't know how close I got with this, but I'm a lifelong learner. I wanted to be a futurist. I wanted to be that person. So I feel like I'm in a good spot to be nerding out about this right now. So a digital twin simulation involves combining all of the things that we've talked about to be able to model scenarios in a digital twin of your whole city, your whole environment, from your street sweepers to the air quality to the humidity on top of the mountain to automating your dams based off of rainfall and being able to like predict like when you're going to need to change the level of the water in the lake in 6 years and how that's going to affect other things. So this complicated system of a digital twin simulation involves the use of AI because it involves making complex predictions. It involves the use of this 5G technology, wireless technology, and the Internet of Things to areas that we previously couldn't get before. And it definitely involves data sharing, integration, and keeping everything in a format that's compatible with each other. So it all just wraps up really nicely in this almost futuristic, highly advanced concept that I would love to see be easier for municipalities and even the feds to eventually do, because having the ability to simulate scenarios, it's going to help when it comes to things like climate change, disaster relief efforts. You can start modeling evacuation procedures for different kinds of weather scenarios. It saves lives in theory. So anyway, that's a digital twin. And that brings everything we've been talking about together.
No, that's really cool. When you said that and you mentioned the dams and being able to predict the water levels in the lake, I immediately thought of, Hurricane Helene and all the damage it did right here in our neck of the woods. And what if we had simulated that earlier on? What could we have changed? Right?
100%. I'm
That,
with you.
Yep. That's a really cool thought and really cool. I'm going to have to go dive into that now because I'm here for it. I'm here for it for 2025
I can send you
and getting
some
the politics
resources.
out of politics. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap us up. If you're joining us today, make sure that you scan this QR code to my right. It is our 2025 GovTech report. We are really excited about the material in there. Please, please, please download it. And please follow us on all platforms. We go live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. And we're super excited for next week. I can go ahead and announce this because we do have a special guest joining us on the live. It is UKG. So we're super excited to hear from our friends at UKG, and we can't wait to share their insight with all of you. And before we hop off, key takeaways, guys. What is one message that you want to leave our viewers with as we wrap up today?
The future is now. I mean,
Yeah.
the trends are gonna happen to you if you don't get ahead of them and start thinking about how this impacts your organization, and are you ready for it? And if not, what do you need to do? And we can help with that.
Right. Clay?
Reaching the level of integration that is going to be necessary to do these complex scenario simulations that will save thousands of lives in your city all starts with you having an open mind to maybe using a chat bot in one of your departments and making sure you do it right from the start. If you start with a strong foundation, that's going to be the best way to get you up to that level where you can make massive life-changing decisions with the help of all of the integrated data that you have access to. That's going to improve the lives of your residents.
Yes, all good things. And my advice is always the same, guys. This is heavy stuff. There's a lot of noise in the market, and we will be your trusted partners in helping you break through that. So please reach out to us with all of your questions. We're happy to get you started. Visit our website, dig into our AI consulting business. We just launched that as a new product offering, and AV and Clay worked very hard on launching that. So please make sure you check out that, and we'll see you next week. Thank you all.
Thanks.